Welcome to the Executive Leadership Education 4.0. I am super excited about this session that we're having today. And I want to congratulate everyone that is present on this call, every leader on this call. Thank you so much for investing in yourself. I want you to know that you are highly valued because as you are getting better, trust me, everything around you will start to get better because when the leader gets better, everything gets better, including whatever the leaders are leading. Okay, so we are going to get into our session straight away. And I want you to know that this is my first time of going through this model. Okay, this is Wale Adekanla Change Leadership Model. My first time ever of talking about this model. I've done an intensive study, I've done uh, researches, I've studied many models, many change management models. And I want you to know that here we have what you really need to transform things in your organization. Okay. Whether you are aware of things that you need to change now, or if you are not aware of the need for change, trust me, at the end of today's session, your eyes will be open to things that you need to start adjusting within your organization because this model is going to give you clarity. You will understand why there is a need for change and then how to go about the change that you need in your organization. By the way, this model is comprehensive. You can make use of this model in a family, within the community, in your organization, or in a nation. Is the same thing. Is the same thing. What this model requires is leadership, and that is why I've called it change leadership model. I've studied um, change assessments and management models, top models like the Lewin change management model. I've studied, how everything about the unfreeze, the change, and the refreeze, system of that model. I've studied the ADCAR model. I've studied, Kotter's 8-step change model. Think about McKinsey 7S model, like the Bridges traditional model, the change curve, the nudge theory, the plan, do, check, act. We call it PDCA cycle. I've studied all this model, including Bucky, Litwin change model. And one of the things I want you to understand is that if you studied all these models, you will realize that they are very great frameworks, right? But I've discovered a gap, and this gap is very necessary for every leader, every founder, executive to understand the reason why you need to know the need for change. Most leaders don't understand why they need to make adjustments right now. When I was doing this study, going through the scale agile framework, I discovered a lot of things about that powerful framework. Many times most leaders don't even know why there is a need for that kind of a framework. I'm an instructor, of course, for Scaled Agile, and I understand, every part of the framework. By the way, I want you to remember something. Most leaders are aware of the need for change, but they don't have the courage to make those adjustments. Let me repeat that. Most leaders are aware of the need for change, the need to make some adjustments, but many of them are not ready to make such adjustments because they are not courageous enough. And many times, many of them are not aware of what they need to do in order to make those adjustments. And remember, knowledge increases your courage. And that is why I want to use this opportunity to take you through my model, Wale Adekanla change leadership model, so that you can understand the need for change, because the only constant in life is change. The only constant in life is change. In fact, I love the way Jim Rohn put it. Jim Rohn said, your life does not get better by chance. It gets better by change. So that means whether you like it or not, things will change. We are all changing. I was not like this 10 years ago. I am not going to be like this in the next 10 years. So things are changing. The question is, why are you not making adjustments? Okay. So think about this statement said by Nelson Mandela, that education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. This is why I love this executive leadership education, because it exposes um, a lot of adjustments that we need to make as leaders within our organizations, our teams, so that we can, multiply the ROI, okay? And of course, scale your business. So I'm going to take you through a journey today to understand the need for change. Because if you do not change direction, you may end up where you are heading. Can I repeat that? If you do not change direction, if you don't make those adjustments, you may end up where you are heading. And if where you are heading right now will not take you to where you want to be, trust me, if you don't make those adjustments, you are not going to get to your desired destination. So change before you have to. Okay, change before you have to. You need to make that decision to change before you have to. Always remember this: transformation is a process, not an event. So you have to be the change that you wish to see in your world. What kind of change do you want to experience in your world? And that's exactly what I am talking about today. John C. Maxwell said, change is inevitable, growth is optional, and not every change is progress. So I'm going to take you through that journey to understand why you need to change. First of all, there is something that I call system alert. In fact, this is where everything starts from. System alert in this model. Okay, I'm going to be sharing this model in a moment, but let me take you through this journey, because most leaders are not sensitive enough. Through my work with business leaders, church leaders, government leaders, I want you to know that most don't understand why they need to take action or what they need to do now to make those necessary adjustments. I mean, there's something I call system alert, and that's the first thing. Everything is a system. Everything, like everything, is a system. I mean, just think about it. Think about the whole body. According to medicine, the human body is comprised of I believe 11 major systems. You have many systems in the whole body. You have the skeletal system, you have the muscular system, you have the circulatory system, the respiratory system, you have digestive system, nervous, many systems in the body, right? Imagine if one of the systems is not working, or if something is happening to one of the systems, there is going to be an alert. So what if someone has a headache? The headache is an alert that something is wrong somewhere in the body. Okay. So when you experience that alert, the next thing is to quickly go to, a doctor, right? A professional, a medical professional. Okay. Because you want to find out what is wrong. And when you get to the doctor's office, the first thing doctor would do, okay, let me say, an ideal doctor, okay, the right doctor, because it is possible for someone to go to the wrong doctor. Okay. So the first thing the right doctor would do is to check the reason for the headache. Where is this alert coming from? Why this alert? What exactly is wrong in the body? Why are you having headache? So there must be a check. And sometimes they do blood check, right? The blood tests to find out what is really wrong, so that they don't start giving you medicine, for the wrong alerts. So I want you to think about what happens in families as well, what happens in communities, in businesses, in nations. The same issue happens. There are alerts everywhere. But when these alerts are on, most leaders don't pay attention to them. In fact, they see this alert, they hear about this alert, but they don't really understand what to do. And when people start talking about this alert, when they start experiencing this alert themselves, many times the leaders don't even know what to do and the first action to take. And that's why this model is going to help you to know the exact thing to do, from the beginning to the end. So think about the family, two families. One family, the same situation, the same problem, the same system alerts, because a family is a system. So think about a particular problem in one family. And at the end of everyone in the family going through that problem, imagine them coming out on the other side stronger. And let's compare that to another family with the same problem. And at the end of that, situation, going through that situation, on the other side, you start hearing, the husband and wife talking about their lawyers and then preparing for a divorce. The same situation. So, what is the difference? What makes the difference between the two families? Change leadership, change management. So there are many things that we have to think about, because in a family, there are many system alerts that you need to think about. And when you start experiencing all these system alerts, that means in the family, everyone needs to be sensitive about, okay, what is going on? What do we need to change? What do we need to adjust as a family? For example, if the family is experiencing, increased conflicts every time, the frequent argument between the family members, that indicates underlying issues. For example, sometimes it could be financial stress or communication breakdowns. A lot like declining academic performance. If you start observing that, in your family, then something must be wrong. Suddenly you realize that your child, is performing poorly in his or an academics. Something must be going on. Health issue is an alert. Financial struggles, they are all alerts. Think about communities. When you start seeing rising crime rates in a community, that is an alert. You start seeing public health crises, environmental degradation, like infrastructure failures. Those are system alerts in communities, even in organizations and businesses, and that could be a profit or not for profit. The moment you start seeing high employee turnover, that is a system alert. Declining sales, increased customer complaints, financial instability. All these are system alerts. In nations, um this one is very peculiar, and it really touches my heart anytime I observe, or anytime I see all these system alerts, and I call them national system alerts. Economic recession is an alert. Political unrest. When you start seeing frequent protests, riots and political violence, those are indicators. Okay, those are indicators. And national leaders have to pay attention to this. House of Rep, the Senate, and of course the president and all the ministers, of course, or the prime minister, they have to pay attention to this. You know, think about public health epidemic. It's an alert. Environmental disaster. Those are alerts. For example, many countries in Africa are going through these alerts right now. You have a political unrest, many protests. As I'm talking right now, this same alert is going on in Nigeria, where you have, people protesting. Why? Because something needs to change. That's exactly what it means. Something needs to change because, political violence indicates widespread, dissatisfaction with government policies or leadership. So there is something that needs to be changed or adjusted in order to lead the people well. And this requires change leadership. In fact, even in the church, I've seen this many, 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 many times. I've done a lot of researches about this. If you are a ministry leader and you are hearing me right now, okay, an apostle, a pastor, whatever role that you are responsible for as the leader, okay, when you start seeing declining, in attendance, that is system alert. Financial struggles, volunteer burnout, or even burnout in leadership. That is an alert that something needs to change. When you start, experiencing internal conflict, decreased community engagement, spiritual apathy, leadership turn over, or maybe facility neglect. All these things are system alerts. One big alert that I see many times is communication breakdown, or moral or ethical scandals. All these are very crucial. When we start experiencing all these issues around us, we need to know that there is a need to pay attention to this change that needs to happen in a community, in a family, in our businesses, in a nation. This is very important because as a leader, remember this, that leadership is the capacity to translate vision into reality. And this model I want to share with you can keep your leadership simple. All right. It's not complex at all. It's not complex. And I like to say this to leaders, that change is really disturbing when it is done to us. The only person who wants change is the initiator of the change. Nobody wants to change. All right. Nobody wants to change. Everybody wants things to, continue going the way they are, right? The only person who likes change is the initiator of that change. So, with that in mind, that helps, us as leaders to understand the greatest danger. Because the greatest danger here, in times of turbulence, is not really the turbulence. In fact, I like the way Peter Drucker put it. He said, it is the act within yesterday's logic. And that is the greatest danger. That the greatest danger in times of turbulence is not the turbulence. It is to act with yesterday's logic. When you act with yesterday's logic, that is the greatest turbulence. All right? That is the greatest danger. So you have to be fresh. That's what I'm talking about here. Okay? Because something worked yesterday doesn't mean that it's working today. Things are moving. Are you moving? For example, most leaders don't even pay attention to AI right now. Things are moving, they are static. And later they will be wondering, like, oh, okay, we need to start working, start catching up, right? People are moving already. By 2030, millions of jobs will be replaced. Are you preparing for that? Are you adapting? Are you working towards that change that is coming? Okay. And these are the things that we need to pay attention to as leaders. This is very crucial. So I'm going to go through this change leadership model that I've been talking about. Remember, the first part of this model is the system alert. And I've been talking about this a lot. And this is very, very crucial. Okay. And some of the gaps that I've observed in many change assessment and change leadership models that I've studied, researched, is this particular system alert. And this is one of them. I'm going to be sharing some of them as we go through this session together. So let me share my screen so that you can see what this model is all about. Here you go. Okay. I want to believe that you can all see my screen right now. Okay. So let's start. Let's go through this together. So the first thing here, as you can see here, is the system alert. And I've been talking about system alert. I've talked about the kind of change that we need to be sensitive to. Okay, when all those things are happening, all those system alerts, I mentioned earlier, you have to pay attention to them. Okay, and once you observe that, then you need to know that is a gap somewhere. Something is wrong somewhere, and you want to know what is wrong. You want to discover what is happening in our system. What do we need to change? What do we need to adjust? Here, I want you to be very careful about assumptions, okay? Because there are 5 different types of knowledge, okay? I don't want you to assume here at all. I don't want you to assume. In fact, the first level, which is the lowest level, that is opinion. I don't just want you to come up with your own opinion just by looking at things and just assume that this is what is happening. No, this is not how to go about change leadership. That is in fact, say opinions can change. In fact, I'm very sure that you have thought about some things many times and then later realize that, oh, I was wrong. Okay, I was wrong. And that's why you cannot rely on just opinions, okay? Because no assumptions here when it comes to the discovery of the gaps. So the first level, the lowest level, of course, opinion. Then the next one, hypothesis. Okay. And then the next one, we have the theory. And then the next one, you have the law. And the last one, which is the most important one. And that is the one I want you to focus on as you go through this change leadership model. The truth. Don't focus on opinions. Don't focus on hypothesis, something that you have not tested. Okay, you've heard about it, you've seen it, but you have not tested it. It is not yet confirmed. Okay, you need to focus on the truth. The truth. So, how can you discover the truth? How can you discover the gap? And this gap could be internal or external. So, you want to know, where is this issue coming from? Is it an internal issue or an external issue? And that's your next step. So how do you go about this? Think about this in physics. You know that energy is fixed, all right? And because it's fixed, when it comes to the kind of energy that we invest every day, is fixed. So everyone is investing energy in one way or the other. You are either investing energy on something that is productive or something that is not productive, and that determines the result that you get every day. Okay, so there is something that we call integration and then disintegration. When there is high energy on internal disintegration, in fact, let me explain what that means. Anytime you think about internal or anytime you hear internal integration or disintegration here through this model, I want you to start thinking about trust and respect. Okay, trust and respect. Those are two key factors when it comes to internal integration. No one can experience internal integration. In fact, high energy cannot be invested into internal integration without trust and respect. And that's why trust and respect are foundational. Okay, so think about this. If everything, within the organization or family or nation, if if everyone is spending high energy on internal disintegration, that means the system will have low energy for external integration. And external integration, anything external, talks about all your capabilities, the potentials that you have that you can tap on the outside, and the opportunities out there. You won't see those opportunities. Imagine a family where there is always conflict. Of course, that's a system a lot. Always conflict. Everyone, is having issues. The husband gets home and goes to sleep, doesn't want to talk to anybody. In that situation, they cannot work together to see the opportunities and tap into their capabilities. They cannot, because they are investing more time on internal disintegration. They are investing high energy on internal disintegration. Therefore, they would have low energy on external integration because they have high energy for external disintegration as well. And I want you to see it that way. So you want to understand, what are the gaps internally? All right. Do we have trust and respect? What are the gaps externally? Okay. And if you want to discover the gaps externally, that means you can use different assessment tools out there, and or maybe in fact, as simple as SWOT analysis. You can use SWOT analysis to just understand the external factors. What's really going on out there? What do we need to adjust? Okay, and the most important part is your internal factors. Okay, and once you discover these gaps, the next thing is the change assessment. You want to go through some change assessment processes, and that could be using some tools, or maybe consulting a change expert that will come in to help you to assess this process, because you want to understand the gaps. So you need to think about change assessment processes. Adopt one change assessment process that can help you to understand the gap clearly. What are the gaps internally? and externally. Why are we not tapping into our external opportunities? Okay, you need to understand the reason. Then that will help you to know the problem. You want to understand what the problems are. And remember, how you see the problem will determine what to get out of the problem. Okay, it is not the problem that is the problem. It is how you see the problem that determines the output. Okay, so do you see it as an opportunity, for becoming better, for improving your team, improving your organization, your community, your church, or your nation? So how you see it will determine what you get out of it. And that is why change leadership is needed here. It requires vision. So what you need here is not just change management. It's not someone who is just, you don't need a change manager. You need a change leader here. So as a leader, you need to become a change leader. You cannot lead change if you are not a change leader. And this is why becoming a change leader is important. You cannot use change management mindset alone. Of course, change management is important. You are not here to just maintain some things that you just adjust, or some conversations that you just have with people, and then continue to maintain what is already in existence. Okay, it is important to be very creative and innovative, and you need to follow the change leadership processes here in order to get the best out of this model. Okay, so change leadership is needed here, and you have to become a change leader. Okay, so for you to act as a change leader, I want you to look at the next two arrows. You see, one arrow goes to AOIU, and the next arrow goes to diverse team. Okay, so let me first talk about AOIU. Very important. So when it comes to change leadership, you need to make some new decisions. You have discovered the gaps, you've done the assessments, you've identified the opportunities that you have in your system, and now you want to make the change. There is a need for you to have a diverse team around you, people of different views, people who can come up with different ideas. Okay, people who can help you to see things differently. At this time, trust me, you don't need people who are thinking like you. You know, Interestingly, I've come to observe that many leaders like people who are thinking like them around them. This is why you are not getting the best results that you really desire. For example, let's say you are a president of a nation, or you are a president of an organization, or maybe you are leading a non-for-profit, or you are a leader in your community. For you to get the best out of your situation, you don't need people who are thinking like you. If you have someone else that is thinking just like you, then that means there is no need for that person to be there. Either of you needs to leave. Okay. And this is very important. I want you to take this as serious. As a leader, here is what I'm talking about. You need different views. Okay, you need different ideas. Here, you need people with different experiences. Okay, perspectives. Okay, different mindsets, skill sets. Here, different tool sets that you need to put together. So, why do you need to do this? And you need to do this because you want to have an open dialogue. You want to create an environment that is safe for people to express themselves. Sometimes it could be hurtful. Trust me. This is why leadership is hard. It's not easy to lead. It's not easy. One of the recommendations I gave one time to a business leader, and in fact, I've shared this same recommendation to church leaders many times, is to create an environment, at least maybe twice, maybe once in 2 months or once in a quarter, whichever that is easier for you. At this time, maybe like 2, 3 hours, uh, bring all your top leaders together. At this time, you are not there to make any decisions. All right. For example, let's say a church. Okay. What are the major aspects of the church that you are really focusing on? For example, we have 5 dimensions of a church. Which of them are you focusing on right now? You can just pick one per meeting. And then you, as the leader, should be the one to introduce the conversation. Let them know the focus for the conversation, for that meeting. No calls at this time. Focus on the people. I'm talking about your top leaders. Focus on them and share the focus. Allow everyone to talk about it. Make sure you focus on just one. For example, let's say you are a ministry leader, leader in the church, and you have 5 dimensions of the church, 5 purposes there. So just focus on one, just one, and then let everybody talk about it. What do they think? How can we move things forward? um what are we doing? Why are we doing it? Where do you fit in? What do you think we should do differently? Just be open. Do not make any decisions here. All right. This is just a place, a safe place, for people to have conversations. Remember, you could have someone who is leading this particular, aspect of the church, and that person will be on seat listening to different ideas. Okay. So that is a safe environment, and that is a great culture. If you do that in a business or in the church, it's the same thing. Okay, the same principle. So that's just by the way. Now I'm talking about hey, oh, hi, you. So first, you need to think about having this kind of people in this process that you want to go through in making uh, an important decision. Every time you want to make an important decision, anytime you are going through change leadership, it is important to think about these people. You need to have achievers on the team. You need to have organizers on the team. You need to have innovators on the team. And you need to have unifiers on the team. So you need to think about having these different kinds of people on your team. I'm going to do another video, to talk about this AO high. You can call it hail you, all right, whatever name you give it. So AO high you need to have a diverse team, not just a group of people who are thinking the same way. People with different perspectives. It's okay for people to argue. It's okay for people to have different views. It is okay. It is okay to make it okay for people to have different views. Remember, they have different philosophies, different personalities, different experiences, different stories, different level of exposures, different background. So you cannot expect them to think differently. But you need to look for these personalities because you want to make an important decision. So this is what I call the open dialogue. And there is a need for respect as a catalyst in having an open dialogue. For you to make a good decision, it is important to have an open dialogue, create a system around it, and respect is important because everyone on that team must feel valued. Everyone must feel like my opinion is being heard. All right. In fact, I know as a leader, you might have a lot of things that you want to say. Please, most of the things you want to say, keep them to yourself at this time. There is a need to make a new decision. Listen to these people. Listen to your all these selected people, and these people could be maybe a core, a group of people that you've selected across, your organization, different levels, or maybe your top leaders. It depends on what you really want and the kind of people, but make sure that you have these personalities in order to make a good decision. So This is the open dialogue session. And once the open dialogue ends, then you need to move to closed dialogue. What does that mean? It means it's time for execution. And you need this diverse team. And this diverse team could be part of the people who made that decision. Remember, everybody won't agree in a good decision-making process. Everyone won't agree. But understanding how to facilitate a great meeting is also important here. So making sure that you listen to the people and then you facilitate, go through the right process so that even though if some people don't agree, yes, they know that, okay, well, if my own part of my own perspective is not picked up today, I know that later, definitely, they will pick up my own, idea. All right, be open-minded, set the pace from the beginning of the meeting so everybody understands the process and then what is going to happen in the end. So once that decision is made, it's time for execution. And to execute, there must be close dialogue. This is not a time for us to keep talking about what we have discussed and then we have decided. And now everybody needs to move together as a team in executing this new idea, this new strategy that we have put in place, this new template that we have put in place. So these are the goals that we need to all achieve together. And this is how we have decided to go by this new change. So what do we need to do now? Do we need to start communicating? Do we need to start sensitizing people? Do we need to, what is the process? There must be a roadmap, okay, in place in going through this execution process so that everyone can understand what is coming. You don't just release change suddenly. Can I repeat that? As a leader, you don't just change things suddenly. There must be a communication system, okay? A communication system. Everyone needs to understand why the change is coming. And then what are the consequences of the change? Because people need to know that you have thought about those consequences because people will think about them. People will process them. You are in a leadership position because you are in the front. Everyone will see your flaws because you're vulnerable. And that's why, as a great leader, you have to be open, vulnerable, tell people, make jokes about your weaknesses. It's okay. Let them know you are human. Okay. So when that happens, everybody knows that, okay, change is coming. Change is coming. And when you start making those adjustments, when those plans are being executed, people know that this has been talked about. So they are expecting those changes to happen. All right, don't just stop something or start something suddenly without communicating. There must be a roadmap for this change and for this team to work together. Remember, here we have closed dialogue. There must be trust. There must be trust. Trust must be the foundation. If they don't have trust as the foundation, they cannot work together to achieve it together. No, it won't happen. It won't happen. In order to have a good decision, there is a need for respect. In order to execute rightly, there is a need for trust. Okay, because you have the right people on your bus. So the next thing is we're trusting the driver. Everyone that is seated on this bus is doing what he or she is supposed to do, and we know exactly what we're supposed to do. We are rightly positioned where we can function at our best, and that's very crucial. Make sure you put people where they can function well. Don't don't position a surveyor in a seat of an architect. No, don't do that. Don't do that. And that's why it's important for leaders to know people. You need to know people, you need to understand the area of strength, and then delegate rightly, position people rightly so that they can succeed, so that they can explore themselves naturally, so that they can give their best, understand their top 20% for execution. And with trust, everyone moves together as a train in achieving what we have decided to do. Now, when this process starts, the execution process starts, trust me, there will be conflict. Okay, there will be conflict. Conflict is going to happen. It's going to happen. Expect that as a leader. Remember, this is change leadership. You need to expect conflict. All right. And of course, as a change leader, you are a great facilitator. So definitely you should understand conflict management. So here there is a need to manage the conflict. As you are leading the people, you are also managing the conflict, making sure things are going well, because you want to make sure that the conflict does not lead to unhealthy conflict. See, it is okay to allow conflict. In fact, conflict is good. Any organization or any team where conflict is not encouraged, trust me, there won't be innovation. That means as a leader, you have killed innovation. You have killed creativity. You know, I've been to different organizations where, I've been opportuned to coach and, of course, to consult. And just by observing within 30 days, I've I've seen a lot. I've seen a lot. And okay, let me give you an example. Within 30 days, I observed this particular organization and I observed that people don't just talk. I ask questions and they're like, "Ah, no, I can't say that right now. No, so why haven't you talked about this?" And these people, they are part of the executives, right? They're part of the executive team. They are not saying anything. And I'm like, why are you not saying something? He said, no, I can say it. If I say it, I'll get fired. Okay. And I heard that from more than 70% of the executive team members. That is dangerous. That means that environment is not healthy. It's not healthy for innovation. It's not healthy for creativity. If executive people, if executive level members are feeling that way, just imagine what would happen across the organization. Okay. What would the managers feel? What about the team leaders? What about the individual contributors? How would they feel within the organization? If the executives are feeling threatened, if they feel like we can't talk, that environment is not healthy because the leader is not allowing healthy conflicts. Okay, so there will be conflict, and you need to manage the conflict enough to make sure that it's healthy, not unhealthy. If it goes this way unhealthy, then it's going to become a bigger problem. Oh, it's going to become a bigger problem. Think about the feedback loop up there. Because when you get to problem opportunities, you can connect that problem to the system alerts. That's your feedback loop. You can identify, okay, these are the problems, these are the opportunities we have. Oh, this is why we're having this system alert. Okay, we have opportunities here. So there's a feedback because you have gone through necessary change assessment. So you have a feedback loop there. The same feedback loop happens here. If the conflict is unhealthy, it will lead to bigger problems. And these bigger problems are also system alerts. Okay, that something else is wrong. Something else is wrong. Something must be done. In fact, I've seen organizations that have gone through this kind of change management processes. They've used different models, and they're still going through the same issue. They're still having the same problem. They're still investing so much energy on internal disintegration. In fact, they've changed CEOs many times. All right. So, what do you need to do in order to have healthy conflicts and then maintain this execution with mutual trust and respect? What do you need to do? That leads us to the what I have as VST, TTTE, and SLF 5 levels. Okay, let me explain that. Okay, those are acronyms. I love acronyms. So let me start with the SLF, Scalable Leadership Framework. In fact, I'm releasing that book later this year. And this change leadership model is going to be in this book. It's going to be comprehensive. I have different ways to apply this change leadership model within a context of an organization, and that could be a family. Remember, a family is an organization. It could be in your community, it could be in an organization, of course your business or your non-for-profit, and that includes a church, community, and of course, and also it could be a government agency, government in general. It could be a national situation. This same model can be applied. Okay. The only difference is how we scale, how we scale this model. So we also help organizations to scale this model. For example, the way this model will be applied in a nation will be different from the way it's going to be applied in a family. A family is a small unit. They can easily just look through this and then apply it because it's not complex. And if you have the father and the mother, of course, you have a simple system. When you have a child, it becomes more complex. Two children, complexity increases. So the more people you have in that environment, the more the complexity of that system. So as in a nation, it is seriously complex. So the way we apply will be different. We have to scale different aspects of this change leadership model. All right. I remember everything starts from the top. There must be a tipping point for change leadership before anything can change. Can I repeat that? There must be a tipping point for change leadership before anything can change in the system. Okay. So let's go back to scalable leadership framework. Remember, when the reason why most organizations go through this cycle of change management without experiencing great results, without experiencing great ROI, without knowing how to 10x their ROI and experience greatest experience sustainable change, is because they have not implemented these two systems that I have down there. Scalable leadership framework. There are 5 levels there. Number 1 level is lead yourself. See, everything about leadership is you leading yourself. If you don't lead you, if you don't equip you, you cannot lead and equip others. And this is why everything starts with you. And number 1, lead yourself. Number 2, lead a small team. So there are 4 major skills that we have identified through our research, working with organizations, that people who are ready to lead themselves must acquire. Okay. The same thing applies to leading a small team. That's the second level. The third level, leading a big team. Okay. Small team and a big team. Okay. And there are certain skills that must be learned there. For example, team dynamics, cross-functional, leading cross-functional teams. You need to understand how to lead several teams. That means in those several teams, you have small teams within that big team. All right. And these are the positions within organizations that we call the level 3 positions, like where you have the directors, right? Those are the level 3 positions. So leading team of teams. Level 4 is the executive level. Okay. That could be leading a big portfolio or even several portfolios. It depends on the structure of the organization and then the complexity of the organization that determines the structure of that organization. And the 5th one, of course, is the founder or the CEO, okay, the top leader, up there. So in there we also have 4 major skills that we identified. We compressed everything within that 4 major skills that the top leaders must also learn. So there must be continuous learning within the organization, from leading yourself, helping everyone to understand how to lead self. Every individual contributor needs to understand why I need to lead me. Okay. because everyone needs to understand that this is an environment where I am valued and people love to come to work, where people are cared for, right? So it's not about, oh, I'm paying them or I'm paying them, so I expect them to just get their job done. Remember, most individual contributors are they are highly skilled technically. Most of them don't have personal development skills, so they have professional skills. Of course, for example, let's say an IT engineer, professionally, he or she is skilled. But what about the personal development skills? Those have to be taken care of. So how can you take care of those aspects, of that individual? It is all about creating a training system. Now that could be self-study, or maybe a tutor-based, study. Something must be created that will help them to know that, okay, I need to lead me, all right, and then for the team leaders to know that, okay, how can I lead teams well? They need, because anyone who is leading a small team must understand how to become a great unifier, all right? How to create unity, how to bring people together. They need to understand collaborative, collaboration skills. They need to understand, communication skills. All right, these are very important. Facilitation skills. All these are basic skills, and they are personal, development skills. So I call it PGP, personal development plan. All right. For the teams, they have the TGP, that's a team development plan. So all these skills are very important, and we have everything itemized within the scalable leadership framework. And then let me talk about the other part, the VST. The first one there is a strategic vision. Vision is the V, which is very important. Strategic vision. You need to think about strategic vision. See, this everything here, the two frameworks, they must be continuous. In fact, this second framework, I call it the seven big moves. Seven big moves. So you must combine the seven big moves and the scalable leadership framework. You must combine the two for you to continue to have a mutual trust and respect environment within your organization, in the family and the community, in the nation, or in the church. There must be a continuous learning process. So that means, as a leader, you must be a student of knowledge. Okay, you must always be learning. You must be a student of leadership every time. You must submit to learning. Okay, if you are not a leadership student, trust me, people around you won't be learning, because when you start learning, people will know, people will feel it. Your language will change, how you speak will change. People will see it around you. The way you carry yourself will change. You will, you will serve people differently. You will inspire differently. All right. You won't continue to fake it. All right. This is important. So, number one, the seven big moves, strategic leadership, very key. And number two is systems and structure. You want to think about your systems and structure. You need to review these seven big moves and then make sure that you are making necessary adjustments. Because if something is wrong here, definitely it will create a system alert. It will create a system alert. So we have an assessment that we help leaders to go through in order to discover if everything that you have today is in good shape. All right. So strategic vision, that's very key. You need to make sure that your top leaders are aware, and then everyone understands the vision. What are we doing? Why are we doing it? And where do I fit in? So everybody needs to understand or answer those three questions. Number two, very crucial, you talk about systems and structure. You need to have systems in place. You need to have structures in place. All right. Let's say an organization with 10 employees. All right, 10 employees. You have your great structure, up there. And if let's say your organization grows to be an organization of 50 employees, and you are still keeping the same structure. See, to the greatest enemy of clarity is complexity. As the organization grows, the complexity increases, and therefore a need for clarity. If you want people to work the way they should work, there must be structure, there must be right positioning of authority, and there must be the right communication flow across the organization for people to connect, to share ideas, and then to deliver value within the organization. So the thing there, you need to think about training. Training is key. Training about these 5 levels. So people need to grow professionally and grow personally. All right. The two must go together. And you must have, you must develop interest in people. People are not going through these trainings. You are not saying, oh, go through the training so that you can add value to us. Let them know you care about them. They should go through the training so that they can grow for themselves. And remember, when they grow, things will grow because they are investing their life and their time in your organization. Okay. So when they grow, things will grow. They will add more value to themselves and then they will add more value to the organization. Eventually, your ROI will increase. So when people grow, organizations flourish. That's the formula. That's the formula. So think about your transition processes. Your transition processes is very, very important too. And here I have what I call the intentional mentorship system. There must be a need for intentional mentorship system because, see, you need to think about this. People can leave anytime. Do you have your SOP or something where intrinsic knowledge is being documented so that when somebody leaves, there is something like to use for knowledge transfer, KT. You don't want them to go with this knowledge, all right? Because when they go with this knowledge, the knowledge goes with them. You want them to document them so that when you have this, it becomes an asset in your organization. There must be a process for mentorship. Somebody has already, grown to a level, there must be a system whereby they are mentoring someone or a group of people so that they can replace them. That's how you can increase your ROI because you are mentoring people into new roles, into new positions, and then those who are currently in that position are also working towards getting to the next position. Now, your organization is growing, adding more value to people and to your customers. Okay, so there must be a system of mentorship within your organization so that things can grow, things can flow within your organization. People should be able to test. They should be able to fail. It's okay to fail. And then they can review, and then make necessary adjustments. And then, of course, improve and do it all over again. So if somebody can do it, I can do it. All right. So I can do it very well. So who are you mentoring? Who are you mentoring? Who are you pouring yourself into? Who are you showing how to do it? Okay. So intentionally create that system within your organization. The last one there, the third T is a science of trust. Okay. There must be a system for trust. This is very important. And when there is no trust, there can never be accountability. When people don't trust the leaders, when people don't trust the people, and this is why the scalable leadership framework is important. When people understand the 4 major factors that they need to master in order to lead themselves, they would understand why and how to become people who can be trusted. Okay? And, it doesn't happen automatically. It must be earned. It must be earned. Today, many people are following many leaders because they have to, because they have authority over them. So they are following them because they just have to follow them. They have to obey them, not because they want to, not because they want to. So in this kind of environment, you want to create an environment where people are willing to follow the team leaders, the big team leaders, the portfolio leaders, because they are leading well within your organization. All right. And then the last one is strategic execution. Strategic execution, right? This is important. You have to be strategic. You have to be strategic in executing whatever plan that you have put together. How do you, plan maybe your Q1, your Q2, your Q3, your Q4, right? You have to be strategic in your roadmap, yearly, quarterly, monthly, looking at the report, reviewing the report. How does the manager or the people who are leading small teams and big teams, how do they relate with the people that they are leading? What kind of how do they talk to them? Do they really care, or they are just checking reports? It's important for them to understand, for people to feel valued and cared for. All right, strategic execution and focusing on the people and focusing on the plans, and everybody's working towards the result together because there is a mutual trust and respect. So, leaders, this is where I am going to end this session today, 4.0, the executive leadership education. I want to personally thank everybody for listening to this great session. And as a leader, I want to encourage you. I really, really want to encourage you that you should take necessary action. Take necessary action by doing something about something that you can do something about. Can I repeat that? Do something about something that you can do something about. I love the way Stephen Covey put it. Responsibility has two words: response plus ability. That means you have the ability to lead people, to lead change, and then to lead the processes. Okay. And then of course you have everything in you to respond. Okay, you have the position, you have the right, you have the privileges, you have the resources to respond. So respond through your ability and do something about something that you can do something about. I want to show you this, and I want to encourage you to visit our website. Okay, we want to support you as a leader. We want to help you as a leader. We want to go through this change leadership, moments with you as a leader. We want to stand by your side, with all passion, with all interest. I want to see your organization, moving forward. I want you to 10x, your results and your efforts. Okay, as a national leader, we want to support you as a governor of a state or a minister or a commissioner. All right. We want to support you. We want to go through these processes with all your top leaders so that they can understand how to implement this change, no matter, how great that complexity, looks like. And then, of course, if you're a ministry leader, I want to encourage you as well. Take advantage of this. Just click book now. All right. And just schedule your appointment. We would like to reach out to you, or you can call that phone number that you have right there. Visit our service area. We have, different areas that we are servicing right now, including North America, Europe, and Africa. And of course, we are ready to come to your own domain to support you wherever you are, anywhere in the world to support what you're doing right now. Just visit our website, theleadershipchannel.org. All right. So here is where I'm going to end today. And I want to encourage you to register for the 5.0. 5.0. Do not miss 5.0. It's going to be life-changing. It's a private session. And be ready to change everything around you as you change how you approach things. Because if you don't change, nothing will change. Okay? If you don't change, nothing will change. And I want to leave you with this last statement said by John F. Kennedy. John F. Kennedy said that change is the law of life. And those who look only to the past or present are certain to miss the future. All right, don't forget that. Change is the law of life. So that means change is constant. Things will change. Even if you don't change, things will change. And those who look only to the past or the present are certain to miss the future. So when you are changing things today, remember that the future is your focus as the leader, because what really determines and what makes you a leader is your vision, is the capacity to see what is to come. It's the capacity to see what others can't see around you. That is the main thing that separates you from the followers around you. And every great dream begins with a dreamer, and you are one. So always remember, you have within you the strength, the patience, and the passion to reach for the stars to change your world. Thank you once again. My name is Wale Adekanla, your executive coach, scaling expert,